this man is my father? My mama lied to me again?
Dang.
Hi.
Get your
Did she sign the papers?
I ain't signed.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Addison, and today I'm going to be taking a look at one of the greatest gospel artists of all time's recent documentary. This is Father's Day, a Kirk Franklin story. And the reason I say one of the greatest gospel artists of all time is because I don't know how much bigger than Kirk Franklin it can get. Kirk Franklin is one of those artists to where me being into Christian music, Christian hip hop music particularly, I could run up to somebody and say, yo, have you heard this Christian hip hop artist or this, upcoming Christian artist? And they'd be like, I have no idea who that is. But the moment I say Kirk Franklin, like 9 out of 10 times, whether somebody is a Christian, listens to Christian music or not, they know who he. Oh yeah, Kirk Franklin. Oh, yeah, I know him. He's good. He's nice. He's dope. Do you want a revolution? Woo woo. I mean, that song to the all my people say stomp. You know what I'm saying? All of those classics, man. My dad and my mom had me on those at a young age. Loved all of those songs, man. I had to those songs are so good that they still. If I hear those come on today, I'm like, you know what I'm saying? I'm vibing to those to this day. That is one of the reasons I feel like he might be one of the biggest gospel artists of all time. He has this new documentary. We're going to take a deep look into it. It's just interesting timing because we have this doc dropping at the same time that he also has one of his albums that's coming out. And we'll talk through all of that. We'll see about the authenticity of it. We'll just see his heart. I guess one of the most interesting things in regards to this documentary is the fact that you actually have both sides of the family being his mother and, I guess we'll see as we watch it, his biological father speaking in this documentary. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a deep dive into this, man, and see Kirk's thoughts on this.
I've been homeless. I bathed in a church bathroom, won 19 Grammys. I was raised in a neighborhood called Riverside in Fort Worth.
I gotta pause real quick already. He was born in 1970. This man is finding out about his biological father at 53 years old. I'm wondering what type of father-son relationship you could establish when you are already that old. Like you got kids who are grown at that point.
Gertrude. She adopted me when I was 4. She was 64.
I mean, sweet old lady. And I know a lot of times, I know quite a few kids who get adopted or who are raised by older relatives, whether it be their mother's mother, their father's mother, things of that nature. But man, I can assure you, a 64-year-old, 63-year-old woman ain't going to be able to play catch or shoot basketball with you in the backyard, man. It's just an age to where that type of interaction, you probably ain't going to have that type of interaction with them. I'm not saying that they ain't going to love you, but it's just a lot of things that you're going to miss out on that age.
There was never a time that I don't remember not knowing I was adopted. It was, I don't remember having birthday parties when I grew up. I lived by myself. It was horrible.
That's crazy, man.
I would see my biological mother, Deborah, maybe once or twice a year, and you see your biological parents 2 or 3 times a year. It's a scar that never gets to heal.
Wow. Dang. Ooh. That's sad on so many levels. Like, it's one thing to be a young kid and you're adopted and you have that desire once you find out that you are adopted to find out who your real parents are. So that's already trauma in and of itself. So imagine the trauma of being young and knowing you're adopted and you actually have visual on this person. You get to see this person ever so often and they have no inkling to want to take you with them, to want to show you any additional love, to want to explain things to you. You would think like, dang, if I see them, things will get better. In this instance, man, seeing them probably for Kirk made things worse. Or seeing his mother in particular probably made things worse. You just got your mother kicking it, doing what she do, and then you just sitting back like, dang. Nah, that's definitely extremely painful.
So it was a very lonely life.
And he already didn't have anybody to play with or was by himself. That's heartbreaking.
And I spend a lot of time and looking up in the stars every night and just talking to God. That has tested the strength of who I am as a human, as a Christian.
I've always listened to Kirk Franklin's music, and it's typically always been inspirational, motivational, uplifting, triumphant. And I hear his music and you see his life and you see his success and you think like, yo, man, Kirk, not saying his music is not authentic, but like his music is dope and it's genuine, but I feel like he's more so making this to uplift others or to tell somebody else's story or to tell other people who are not doing well that they can make it through, because everybody got problems. But Kirk, he living, he making it. But now seeing some of the docs and seeing some of his backstory thus far, and we ain't even got too deep into it. Nah, this is really coming from his life. This is really coming from a genuine place, for real.
Yo, day one.
Isaac Kareem. Bro, it's been a minute since I seen him. I love his music too. It's cool seeing the behind the scenes and how they make some of the music, because Kirk definitely has a lot of choir, a lot of group singing in most of his music. Kirk like to speak on his music quite a bit, but
no more violence, no more dying.
This is dope.
No more political manipulation.
Hey, that hit. I don't know. The song Welcome Home, I gotta check this out. And we're gonna talk about this too. Dang, the way they switched it from what you see versus how they have it mixed in the audio. Oh, these folks cold.
You know what I'm saying?
What type of speakers they got in that studio though?
I've been knowing Melody since she
Melody,
was
that's a dope name.
Melody calls me.
You already know she was born to sing.
At Melody's church, there was a funeral for a lady who is my biological aunt.
Yo, I'm listening to what Kirk is saying, but I think this is AI video, y'all. I think something's going on with this video. Look how they moving. This can't be like regular video. That's
Melody's
interesting.
Dad has a good close childhood friend. His name is Rick. Rick says to Melody's family, I dated Deborah when I was a little boy. Now they're looking at
Wow.
Rick. They're looking at his ears, eyes, looking at his hands. Deborah hears about that there's a man that could be Kirk Franklin's dad.
Huh.
First saved message. If you would like to talk to me about the rumor, I will not lie to you about anything.
Bro, we gotta stop right now. When you do stuff like that, you just already feel guilty. You know what I'm saying? Like, it feels like that's a guilt call. When Kurt even said like they hadn't talked in so long, but the first call that you called to tell me is about, let me address this rumor that's going around. It just feels like a guilt call. That's all I'm gonna say. We'll get more info, but it just feels like a guilt call.
Mr. Rick, he gets a DNA test, gives those swabs to my good childhood friend Melody. I have had many years of men and women coming out of the woodwork saying that they're my dad. So,
Yeah. That's my first impression. My first impression is, but if Kurt don't know who his daddy is, with the level of success that he's having, I can see a lot of foul people out there trying to step in and be like, oh yeah, I'm Kurt dad, I'm Kurt. So I can see how he would be skeptical of something like this occurring, but it's still crazy. I'm curious to know how many times this has occurred with Kurt.
done, and a couple of weeks later, I get a call from my doctor.
I'm doing good.
I ain't gonna lie, Kurt, I don't know if that's a jogging suit or pajama suit, but that junk is fresh for sure.
Probable paternity, 99.99999%.
Bro, why did y'all just not say 100? That's pretty much 100 at this point.
He's your father.
Wow. Bro, I know that feeling, bro. Not even being able to stand still when you get news that's shocking.
What?
Oh, well, yeah,
What? What?
wow.
99.
What?
Wow.
What? What?
Wow.
This man is my father? My mama lied to me again?
Dang. Golly. So, initial impression from seeing that scene is, I automatically want to go to the phase or the fact that it's like, well, why are you recording it? It seems like it's for show. You know what I'm saying? Which goes along to the thoughts like, I know he has an album coming out. You record this, it just all seems to tie in really good together. But seeing the way he reacted to that news, like that does not seem staged. It does not appear to be fake. It appears to be genuine and authentic. The only reason is just the current day and age has me very cautious of what I see on social media specifically, because people just seem to want to post everything nowadays, whether it be good or bad stuff. I think the other day I saw somebody was posting or on IG Live or they was having like a live birth thing. Like, that's different. That's interesting. Like, can anything be just your own? Does everything have to be posted? But this right here, this is crazy.
I buried the man I thought was my father.
Wow.
I flew to Houston and made peace with him. His name's Dwight.
Now, and just to look at this right now, like Kirk literally looks like this man's little son right now. That's kind of crazy. Just the way the guy looks. I'm looking at the knees, and Kirk, he been in that gym, but he is definitely a much smaller guy than this guy is right here. So this is interesting. And if I had to look on this on first glance, I know everybody doesn't look identical to their parents, but they don't really share that much of a resemblance.
I'm the biggest selling gospel artist in history. But because I did not have you to tell me who I was, I have always been the most insecure man in the room. And he looked at me, he said, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I understand what you're trying to say.
The crazy thing about this is Kurt, like, mimicking him in this moment. I don't think it's to make fun of the situation. It's the fact that was such a pivotal moment. He probably remembers exactly everything that went down, probably even to, like, he mimicked his tone and things of that nature. It's such an impactful statement. And at the same time, it's a little hard because it's like, that's all he has to say in regards to that. Like, it's like people don't always say exactly what you want them to say, but I feel like the understand what you said was not what Kirk needed in that moment.
That's all they could give me. I've lived my whole life trying to figure out who I am.
I know it's a raw emotional moment. It still is interesting now seeing him cuss in the spotlight as a gospel artist. This is still like, it's kind of interesting to me.
That I have hated one man.
I know it's raw emotions, but
okay, I gotta go.
His wife in that moment, man, just there with him, not necessarily knowing exactly what to say at that time. At 53, that's a tough pill to swallow. 2 hours later, and Kirk is right back to work with it. I mean, people can say a lot of things about Kirk Franklin, man, but they cannot say this is not an extremely hard-working brother.
The journey of life can
and Kirk has been in that gym, too. I'm not going to lie to you.
I'm going to have to go to this guy. You know what I'm saying?
Kurt is really tore up about this. I've heard of midlife crises, but what would you consider this to be? This is crazy.
Hello.
Sandra.
Who? Who you calling?
Aunt Sandra.
Thank you. Okay. Hi, Kirk.
I guess there's,
that's not something that I appreciate, but I'm not going to get that deep into it.
Oh, okay. So they not joking right now. I thought it, upon first listening to this, you would think it's probably your honor somebody who jokes with you about, just making sure you refer to them in a respectful tone. But then also knowing that that's Deborah's sister and he has not had any relationship with his mother at all. And then hearing her kind of come at him like that, that was a little interesting because Kirk did not seem to think that was funny at all. He was not trying to play with that, especially in the moment that he's going through now. So that was a awkward way to even address that situation or even to be on the phone with him, given everything that he's going through right now.
No, if that's how you want to continue to communicate with me, I need to see you and Deborah.
He has not seen his mama in 20 years. Wow.
I'll be Dr. Acho tomorrow. That's my therapist. I don't care if you come to the office in your drawers. I need you.
No, we can't do draw visits, Kirk.
You deserve so much more. If I didn't have music to...
I wonder if So Much More would be a title of one of his songs on the album.
He's my BFF.
I needed this album.
And it's crazy. He's creating this album all while going through this situation at the same time. So, a lot of the lyrics are coming from a real emotional place. And he even got the song called Somebody's Son. That's crazy.
I'm running. I can't. Wait a minute. I think that I'm just still feeling the numbness.
That ombre jean button up is crazy though, Kirk. So we finally gonna get to see Kurt talk to his father, and Kurt is a drippy young old man. Kurt is a drippy young old man.
I'm just feeling numb.
Now hold on, he's pulling up on his father with the arrow through the heart shirt. Like it's kind of crazy because it's like even the fit he has on fits the situation.
This man lives down the street from my recording studio. He
Wow, so he's super close.
is adjacent to a house that my youngest son would go play at when he was in high school.
Wow. Kirk got the fours on with the gray Nike socks? Nah, Kurt fresh, man. Kurt is a fresh young brother, man.
Gentlemen.
Oh, it ain't no question. I'll wait till we see a more close view of Mr. Rick, but he definitely looks a lot more like Kirk than the white guy, for sure. Oh, for sure, bro. For sure.
You know, I see him.
And his dad looked like he might play a little golf, too. Nah, that has to be Kurt's dad, bro. Look how much they look alike, especially when we had the other example with Dwight.
When Deborah got pregnant, were you around? Okay. But it wasn't big news when Deborah got pregnant.
So I know he said I was a kid, and I don't know how much of this conversation took place off camera to get into the weeds of things, but I feel like you would know all the people who you've had that type of intimate relationship with. I know he's an older gentleman, but I feel like you would remember everybody that you went that distance with, unless I'm mistaken. Y'all let me know if you feel any different. But he said I was a kid as if maybe it was so long ago that, you know, he don't even remember or know any things of that nature, unless they were like kids, but I don't know.
I don't remember.
Now, I'm not saying I don't believe him. It just seems if you went that distance with somebody that you would remember.
It never occurred to me with anybody that I've ever been with.
But he says been with, so.
You could have a child with that person or that person or that person. Had I been aware, I would have pursued the truth about it.
Golly. Well, there go the evidence right there. That man didn't even see the paper for more than 10 seconds. That's crazy. He hadn't even really looked at the sheet of paper for more than 10 seconds. And I know he probably saw that percentage up there. That's wild. Wow.
I'm sorry, man.
And his first words is, "I'm sorry," after realizing that's true. And you can tell by the way he looked at that paper and just immediately dropped it that his whole world just got shook. That's a different level of pain right there, especially when you're sitting across from a grown man, let alone some people may not find out who their biological father is until, let's say, they make it, you know, a young adult, maybe anywhere from 16 to 18. But finding out that you have a 53-year-old son is crazy. It's already gonna be difficult trying to, not impossible, but difficult trying to bond with a 16-year-old, 18-year-old who you haven't been in their life through some of the pivotal moments. Now imagine a 53-year-old son that you're finding that information out about. I mean, to some extent, it's not much tutelage that you can give them to that type of degree. Like, they already grown, they already got the experiences. Now y'all can build on that, but it'll be curious to see how you can move forward with that relationship.
It's not your fault. You didn't know.
And this is really hitting Kurt. This is really hitting Kirk Franklin.
Didn't know.
I didn't, man. And had I known, you would have known. It would have been
And it's so crazy too, because like I feel them. A lot of guys talk about what they woulda, shoulda, coulda did, but not knowing you have a son, and also knowing that you could have been a good father, that might be a top 10 most debilitating thing for a man.
Didn't know. Come here, man. Give me
It's like this, like a situation where they need a hug or something. But I know it's different. Yeah, and I know it's awkward because like you my dad, but it's like you not. I don't know you, so but I'm glad they had that moment right now. And the way Kurt even paused on embracing it, it was like it was a hard truth to accept. But that's crazy. Oh, that's crazy.
He didn't even know he had a son. And I didn't even know I had a father. That close. I was that close. All them sleepless nights, all the days I got my kicked at school.
Wow.
And had nobody to take up for me.
I mean, I know you can't change the past, so I will say, man, through everything Kurt has been through as a youth, man, look at you now, though, Kurt. I know this is hurtful, but bro, look at you now. You're an example of how to make it from a terrible situation and still do great things.
Who am I? Well, 'cause I've only known me broken. I scheduled both meetings in the same day.
Oh, he was trying to get to it that day.
I want to be in full control of how it's revealed.
I respect that because given the level of celebrity he is, I feel like even a few hours delay, somebody get out new, because there've already been rumors about this situation in general, gauging from what Kurt is saying. So him getting to things back to back, although that is a very emotional day, a very interesting day to have your whole life uprooted, I do understand why he's getting to things back to back like that. I mean, it's no time to delay at this point. And he hasn't seen her in 23 years.
Hi.
Get your out.
Did she sign the paper?
I ain't signed yet.
Yeah, so that's his aunt he was talking to on the phone earlier.
No, sign it right now, Auntie Sandra, please. If you don't mind, I'm going to stay in here until she comes.
Okay.
Hey, this is awkward, man. It's awkward for the fact that she's treating Kurt as if she knows him or she's been there for him. And I don't know everything about their relationship, but gauging from the fact that Kurt himself has said he was alone, didn't have his mama, he was living with a lady named Gertrude, my assumption would be that this lady has not been in Kirk's life the way that Kurt wanted or needed her to be. So her forcing him to call her aunt and also having that kind of like authoritative tone with him is interesting because it almost seems a little manipulative. It could be from guilt that's like that. It could be like trying to force a relationship on somebody. It is furthermore of a reason why I completely understand why Kurt has them signing whatever documents that is. I'm guessing it's some type of documents allow him to film or to come in, because with this type of behavior, it just strikes me as like people that you have to be careful with, because they may try to, if things don't go the way that they would like, they may try to take it out on you in a way, you know, whether it be a lawsuit or whatever the case may be. So I completely understand why Kurt is having them sign documents. It's just crazy that you have to have your aunt and your mother sign a document. That's wild.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Treating Kurt like he's a kid.
I'm being treated like a 10-year-old little boy. I'm
That's
53.
That's
I
crazy.
feel like I'm a 10-year-old boy.
I commend Kurt for staying respectful though. And his bodyguard be with him at all times.
The pattern of trauma, it can make the battle more difficult.
Look at the distance that they have between them right now. I feel like it's one of those conversations to where the way Kurt's sitting, whether it's for the camera angles or whether it's to be known, like, I don't want any emotional manipulation during the course of this conversation. Because, you know, a lot of times in serious conversation, people like to touch you or hold you, things of that nature. And you can be swayed to try to be more sympathetic or empathetic than that person than you should be, especially when a situation is this serious. So I don't know if that's why the distance is between them, or it's 23 years, bro.
You not knowing how to love made me not know how to love.
Wow.
Probability of paternity?
Yes, ma'am.
100%. How's that possible? It's not.
Is she laughing?
Baby, I can swear on my dead mother's grave, Rick Hubbard is not your father.
Bro, she laughed at the results. That's wild. She laughed at the results in Kirk's face. At this point, what reason is there to lie? Like, you literally have the DNA results didn't say 50%, 40%. They said 99.9%. Bro, this doesn't make any sense, because at this point, y'all too old to be telling lies like this.
What happened? How this paternity test came back 99.95%.
And she said, I swear. And that's Kirk mama. So, and this is what I'm talking about. This is the emotional manipulation that I'm talking about, because Kurt is stuck in a hard place right now. This is your mother, somebody that he has wanted love from, somebody that universally people know, like, you don't disrespect your mother, but your mother is the source of your trauma right now, from the fact that she already left you. And now she is not even telling you the truth about something that has just been proven. And now we come back to the same thing I was telling y'all earlier about the distance. Now she has closed on that distance, and she's not getting whatever response that she would like from him based off the words that she used. So now she has to come and touch him. And it's a direct contrast to the situation Kurt was in with his father, where he embraced the new father. Kurt's not even embracing his mother right now. He can't. It's hard. Bro, Kurt, I need that workout plan. I'm not gonna lie to you, my brother. At 53, you sitting up there looking 35. I don't know how somebody can argue with a DNA test that says 99.9.
It's 2:30 in the morning.
Hey, Kurt, that Bass Pro Shop crazy. That must be a Kirk Franklin edition Bass Pro Shop only, because I've never seen that one before. That junk crazy. So they both there all together.
The results of the first test.
So at the request of Deborah to be present during the testing, a second test is administered. The second DNA test also confirms Rick is Kurt's biological father. So you wanted a second test. We got the second test. What are you going to say now?
I have enough room and enough
Bro, it's so much. There's so much pain in Kurt's eyes right now, bro.
Whoever else, for you to enter at your pace.
And even listening to what he said, man, his father said we can move at the pace that you want to. That's such a selfless love right there. That's such a selfless response.
Pulling in Gertrude's lawnmower just to get some food. My car's been repoed off the truck.
That's slow down. That's.
This
Oh, man.
accept, because this is not true.
She is doubling down on this. You took one test, you didn't trust the results. So then you go in person for a second test that is administered while you were there, and you were still saying this is not true? With all due respect, ma'am, you have to stop.
And I apologize from the bottom of my heart on this.
If it's not true, then why are you apologizing? That's a contradiction. This is going to really impact this relationship, because it's going to be hard to come over for dinner. I don't want to have none of mama's famous banana pudding. You know what I'm saying? We can't play no Sorry, Monopoly, Uno. We can't do none of that together when this big of a issue is lingering over our heads. I just don't see how I could just be in somebody's presence who is doubling down, tripling down on a lie in my face about something that is so important to who I am and what I've been missing. And then I'm just supposed to be in your face as if, you know what I'm saying? It's just different.
Are you saying that you reject the results of these two tests?
Yes.
How? Oh,
Is that going to put a wedge between you and I?
absolutely. And he just tells you the truth. It's like, you gotta give him the same thing.
Give me this. No hug.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly what I was saying a minute ago.
No joke. Nothing can substitute what I deserve.
And look at his aunt. See, at this point, and I was having interesting feelings about how his aunt was interacting with him. And even she's sitting there like, no, this lie has gone way too far. And you can tell that she even feels it in this moment.
The DNA. The DNA.
She can't even refute that information.
If my mama.
So I'm gonna try to be as respectful as I can right here, because you know this is a very traumatic, heart-wrenching situation. But I'm just listening to what she's saying. I've wanted this so badly, and it just makes me question that response. And it also makes me question your character right now. So respectfully, I will say, if we look at the way that Rick just interacted with Kirk earlier, letting him know that he's going to let that relationship move forward at the pace that's comfortable for Kirk. Even though this is a monumental moment for Rick, he's putting Kirk before his own self. We have the mother right here who's talking about what she wants. And then I say, it's hard for me to believe that, because I know there are certain situations that may make it difficult for you to raise a child or whatever the case may be. But you gave him up for adoption. Now, one could say you shouldn't be trying to have kids if you're not ready to have kids anyway. And then you shouldn't be having kids if you are not going to take care of your kids. All of which things, we don't know her past. We don't know what she's been through, which influenced her decision. But I could say that without a doubt, the way that Kirk has described this, if we just take Kirk's story only, which at this point, it's the truth, especially when you're lying in the face of evidence that says 99.9% probability that Rick is the father. Just take all those nines out. That's 100. This is not right, man. And I still can't have you, but it's so up to you right now. It just needs the truth.
And it would have been really, really, really nice.
Curtis saying that like he's putting a period on that sentence. And the way they're showing this angle right now is like this is closing a chapter.
It's my reality. And then I must make difficult choices.
So two things he said from that little blurb there that really stuck out to me. Hurt people. And he's closing the door on this right now. He has to make difficult decisions. I translate that to you now have to get cut off. But I feel like it's a optimistic cutoff. It's a cutoff as long as you're not being truthful with me. And those are the two things I took from that.
I've been down before.
Yes, sir.
That's Chandler, ain't it? So, okay, I'm gonna have to bookmark that song again with Chandler Moore.
Address the challenges that I've had with my son.
So I was curious about if they were gonna touch on this, because this was a big situation for Kirk and his family and his son, with the release of the audio. It was explicit, but I think what shocked the world the most was like hearing somebody who is a gospel artist speak this way. Because of the nature of what he does as a gospel artist, and because of the fact that he's representing Christ with what he does, and so he said himself, this was not a good look. But I'll be curious to see how they can tie this in and wrap this in, because we have Kurt coming to terms with his father. It'll be good to see if Kurt's son can come to terms with Kurt. I see him looking over at the camera too.
What do you want to say to them?
He ain't spoken to his son in 2 years.
Every text message I've sent you hasn't been responded to.
Other things that we have to deal with and address.
So he just said every text message I sent you has not been responded to. A part of me's like, dang. But a part of me's like, well, when you release stuff of me, I can't trust you no more. Like when you release what has been released, it just makes it difficult for me to want to interact with you, given that you might have a tendency, if you get upset, to just try to blow things up. And Kirk's son, he got a little bit of that Fort Worth in him. He got a little bit of that Texas in him. 99.9%. Yeah. And that's pain. This is painful because as sad as it is that him and his son are in this predicament, it's things like this that oftentimes can lead to healing and moving forward. Man, it is difficult to watch your parents go through something that hurts them a lot, especially when they are a lot of times the pinnacle of strength and the example of strength and sticking through things and not necessarily being extremely emotional in front of the kids. Because, you know, if anybody has to be strong or weather the storm, you know, as a kid, it's your parents. So seeing your father break down the way that we saw when he found out the news, I could see how that could hit his son really hard.
Wow.
But I also do believe it could be the stepping stones for moving forward in their relationship.
I have everything that I want except you and my grandfather.
Wow.
I love you, man.
See, I just hope, man, as many people who were tapped into the previous situation with him and his son having a blow up, I hope as many people were talking about that and posting and sharing that. I hope it's tenfold when it comes to showing this redemption and this reconciliation. A lot of people, I feel like in today's age, a lot of people like to pinpoint negativity, but like, this is what I love to see. This is what I love to see right here. The coming back together part.
Calling the album
Man.
Father's Day. I want you to know that I'm sorry.
I forgive you, Daddy. I have to.
So many things are addressed in this video.
Now we're still a work in progress.
Yeah.
I mean, this is our journey.
I was thinking about this from two different ways, because we see that they're together. We see that there's a camera in the room. And I just was thinking back to myself, like if I had an interaction like this with my father, I don't think my first thought would be like, I want this filmed. You know what I'm saying? I want this on camera, because it just may come off a different way. When I think about it from the opposite side of things, the dirt had got put out online for everybody to see. So I feel like it is fitting that this moment right here of them coming back together gets put back out as well. I definitely got to tap into this album now. Golly, Kirk got that thing in there shaking. That's an epic shot of Kirk, man.
But it's for all of us.
So Kirk has not spoken with Deborah since their last meeting where the results of the second DNA test were revealed. That does not surprise me, because that shot looked like the closing of a chapter, unless Deborah can be honest with herself. I really hope and pray that Deborah goes back and watches this video and tries to make things right. And I know Kurt is dealing with a lot of the fact that, I mean, you even see in this documentary, Kurt has to even have his mom and his aunt sign whatever document. Like, so it's difficult when you can't even trust your family, let alone now you have one of the most close family members to you who is new in your life. So I feel like trauma in that situation may have Kirk trying to navigate things in a wise way as well. Rick has also reached out to Kerrion in hopes to help him along his journey. That is a dope. I feel like that's a dope stepping stone, because Kerrion and Rick can start off afresh, and then that may also help kind of mend things and make things go smoothly with Kirk. We've taken a look at the Kirk reconciliation with his father. There's a lot of things that run through my mind after watching this documentary. The first thing that I asked myself as I was watching this was, is this a marketing tactic? You know what I'm saying? Because timing, you know, he has an album coming out, you know, is it like a publicity stunt and things of that nature? After watching this documentary, while this doc probably does help build some momentum for the project, I don't think that is the core reason why this was put out. His life has been on public display for a while now, and with the situation involving his son releasing the audio and the conflict that they had, it had people have another perspective and look at Kirk. And I feel like this documentary right here was important to understanding what Kirk has been through, and also an understanding that Kirk is still on his journey to being better, to fixing the relationship with his son, to finding about this situation with his father. And I think it's just real. And if anything, it actually makes me more excited to check out this project, knowing where this comes from, him sharing his heart and things of that nature. Because like I said, in this day and age, people are posting, sharing everything. And sometimes it's just like, that don't really need to be out. Like, what's the purpose of that being out? But in this instance right here, Kurt has already said his music is not just for himself and about himself, but it's to also help others move forward. And so can his examples, his life, and his testimony. I just really pray for healing for a lot of the people involved. Hearing Kurt's heart really in this documentary, and just talking about the fact that he, like, that feeling of close. You saw him quenching his hands. It's crazy how something can be that at a grasp. It just makes me think, like, if you ever walked down the street and actually saw this guy and never put two and two together that this could be your father, that is a very tough situation. Curtis definitely came from extremely humble beginnings. I mean, a lot of times I see him, you see him on stage, you see his music videos, you see him at, Kurt need to be in somebody, in somebody movie. If he hasn't already been, it wouldn't mistake me. Kurt might need to star in a few movies, to be honest. So with that level of exposure to the industry and touring and being around people and, having to constantly perform, you can wonder, like, well, he's familiar with being on camera. Is this staged? Could it be set up a certain way to manipulate the audience emotionally? And I would say that if your hearts were not pricked by seeing this, then you might just be stone cold. You know what I'm saying? Everybody in this day and age likes drama, but this right here was a great way to take drama and trauma and show you how somebody can try to navigate through that in a way that at the end of the day, the primary goal is to glorify God with it. So, man, I'm glad I got to check this out. And y'all let me know y'all's thoughts about this. I have a lot of mixed emotions in regards to this. And it was definitely an eye-opening documentary. But it's your boy Addison. And I'm going to catch y'all on the next video.